Okay, so may dalawa tayong budget phone from Samsung na nilaunch nila during Lazada's mid-year sale. So meron tayong bagong Samsung Galaxy M12 and the Samsung Galaxy M02. Hey guys, it's your Tagal Mary and welcome back to my channel. So usapang Samsung naman tayo, meron sila again dalawang nilabas nung kanilang mid-year sale. Hindi nga ako aware actually na may ilo-launch pala silang bagong budget phone. But of course, knowing the M series, talagang silent release or silent launch lang sila lagi. Yung Samsung Galaxy M12 guys, ang bili ko sa kanya ay 7,490 pesos and yung sa Samsung Galaxy M02 naman ay 4,490 pesos. Ang gusto kong pag-usapan ngayon, again, first impressions pa lang naman ito, pero gusto kong malaman kung may edge ba ang Samsung when it comes to the budget segment, lalong-lalo na marami tayong mga magagandang entry-level smartphones from brands like Poco M3 Pro, Poco M3, meron din tayong Infinix Hot 10s na bagong labas, meron din tayong Redmi Note 10. So the question is, can these new smartphones from Samsung compete with our already congested budget lineup? Before we proceed to our first impressions guys, panoorin nyo muna itong ating very quick unboxing. So, let's now unbox at unahin natin itong Samsung Galaxy M02. Actually, medyo iba yung look ng ating M series ngayon. And what we got here is the 2GB of RAM with 32GB of internal storage. So, meron tayong ganitong manipis na box na kung saan nakalagay ang ating mga paperworks. Walang specifications na nakalagay sa ating plastic. And yung unit na meron tayo ay yung color blue. And yeah, dual camera setup ang meron tayo. Actually, medyo may texture din ang ating likod. Meron tayong Samsung power brick, a micro USB charging cable, at may libre rin tayong earphones. Now, on to the next phone, we have the Samsung Galaxy M12. Sa plastic cover niya mismo, wala rin tayong mga specifications na nakalagay sa kanya. And kung mapapansin nyo, color blue rin yung ating smartphone. And dito, medyo pa-vertical yung lines natin at hindi gaanong evident yung kanyang textured back. So yeah, that's it guys. Actually, parehas lang naman ng laman ng M12 sa M02. It's just that USB Type-C ang ating charging sa M12. Now, for the buttons, meron tayong volume rocker and power button on the right side, pero side-mounted ang ating meron sa M12. Meron tayong secondary microphone sa M12 sa ibabaw. Meron tayong speakers, microphone, and headphone jack, pero sa M12, USB Type-C ang meron tayo. And lastly, we have of course the SIM tray na located on the left side. Okay, so now na alam niyo na kung ano yung mga dapat yung i-expect kapag kayo ay bumili ng M12 at M02 sa Lazada. Ito naman yung aking mga napansin sa kanya. So kung papansin nyo, parehas na blue yung ating unit. Medyo halata at obvious mo rin naman kung ano yung M12 at M02 sa kanila. Meron tayong isang entry level, ito yung ating M02, at isang budget device which is the Samsung Galaxy M12. But when it comes to the design language, medyo parehas lang naman sila. Parehas silang made of polycarbonate plastic. Medyo parehas rin silang bulky, pero kung tatanungin nyo ako, medyo mas mabigat at mas makapal yung ating Samsung Galaxy M12. Again, I'm not trying to compete these two. Syempre, magkaiba silang klase ng smartphone. Pinagsabay ko lang yung ating first impressions. Pa-vertical lines yung meron tayo sa Samsung Galaxy M12, while yung sa Samsung Galaxy M02 ay horizontal naman yung kanyang lines at medyo angat na angat yung kanyang linya, which is why it has a rough texture to it. Anyway, parehas naman silang matte finish, so expect nyo na hindi sila gaanong smudge magnet. Yung Samsung Galaxy M12, for us to unlock the device, meron siyang side-mounted fingerprint sensor sa gilid, which is already the norm, while yung Samsung Galaxy M02, wala tayong way for us to unlock the device, kundi through password. Syempre, for the price that you paid for it, medyo reasonable din naman kung bakit. Ngayon, kamusta ang kanilang display? Actually, kung titignan nyo dito, mukhang parehas lang naman sila. Parehas naman talaga guys ng design language kasi parehas pa rin silang may drop notch. Medyo disappointing kasi again, for the design that we are having for this year 2021, medyo hindi acceptable na makatanggap tayo ng dewdrop notch. Parehas rin sila ng kapal ng bezels and even the chin. The Samsung Galaxy M12, sabi ko kanina, medyo mas makapal siya than the M02. And to be exact, it weighs 221 grams. Yes guys, ganun kabigat itong Samsung Galaxy M12. But in fairness naman, kahit na medyo may kabigatan yung device, okay naman yung kanyang weight distribution. Although medyo mangangalay lang kayo kung hindi kayo sanay sa mga mabibigat na smartphones. Ang M12, meron siyang 6.5 inches of HD Plus display. So yes, 720 pixels resolution lang ang meron siya. At ang Samsung Galaxy M02 naman ay merong 6.5 inches of 720 pixels resolution as well. So yes, on paper, parehas sila ng specs sa display. Parehas din sila ng size and capability of the resolution. Pero, ang kinaangat ng M12, syempre, meron siyang 90Hz refresh rate. Which is kinda new to Samsung kasi guys, hindi naman sila nakilala talaga on giving higher refresh rate sa kanilang budget segment. So yes, it really is a nice surprise na makakita ng higher refresh rate dito. Syempre, expected from Samsung, maganda yung kanyang display kahit na hindi sila AMOLED display, kahit na hindi 1080p ang kanyang resolution. And honestly, iba talaga gumawa ng display ang Samsung. Hindi lang siya dahil sa wallpaper, pero yes, kahit papano vivid ang ating colors kahit na LCD panel lang ang meron tayo dito. Although, syempre, expect nyo na lang guys na maglalak siya ng sharpness dahil nga hindi naman Full HD Plus ang ating panel dito sa dalawang phone na ito. Now, how about yung kanilang set of cameras? Ang Samsung Galaxy M12 merong 4 na camera sa likod, 48 megapixel wide camera, 5 megapixels ultra wide, 2 megapixels macro lens, and 2 megapixels depth sensor. While ang Samsung Galaxy M02 naman ay mayroong 13 megapixels main camera and a 2 megapixel macro lens. And lastly, for the front camera, ang Samsung Galaxy M12 ay merong 8 megapixels, while ang Samsung Galaxy M02 ay meron namang 5 megapixels lamang. Yung mga photos taken from the Samsung Galaxy M12, it captured decent amount of details naman in daylight. In low light, yun nga lang hindi siya the best, dahil siguro na rin wala siyang dedicated night mode. And medyo may lag guys whenever I capture photos. Hindi lang sa M12, lalo na sa Samsung Galaxy M02. So yes, hindi ganun kabilis yung ating user experience sa camera UI nilang dalawa. It also takes a second bago naglo-load yung camera app pag binubuksan siya. So kung naghahanap kayo ng medyo mas capable na cameras, then you might wanna consider going for the Samsung Galaxy M12. Mas acceptable yung mga photos taken by its 48 megapixel main camera as compared to the Samsung Galaxy M02, unless you are really on a tight budget. Ngayon, ano pinagkaiba nitong dalawang phones na to when it comes to its chipsets? Okay guys, so correction, upon checking pala and upon doing more research, parehas pala ng battery capacity ang M12 at ang M02. Kasi on other countries, ang M12 guys ay merong 6,000 mAh battery capacity. And I think yun yung mga units that we have on India and Korea. So again, battery capacity, they are both 5,000 mAh. Medyo disappointing on some points kasi nga mabigat yung device eh. So expect nyo na malaki yung kanyang battery considering pa na it came from the M series. Anyway, para sa kanilang chipset, ang Samsung Galaxy M12 ay mayroong 2.0 GHz octa-core processor, while ang Samsung Galaxy M02 ay mayroong 1.5 GHz quad-core processor at 2 GB of RAM na mayroong 32 GB of internal storage. Medyo mas maayos definitely ang performance ng Samsung Galaxy M12. It's a good device that can work for your day-to-day usage. Sufficient enough ang kanyang performance. Although you will encounter occasional lag, lalo na if you are gaming. For the Samsung Galaxy M02, I would say experience is not as smooth as compared to the M12. Syempre, una sa lahat, 2 GB of RAM lang ang meron ito. So, expect nyo na hindi kayo makakapag-multitasking sa kanya. So, kung bare basics lang ang ginagamit nyo sa isang device at yun ay ang pagte-text, pag-check ng email, pag-browse sa Facebook, it's enough to give you all your basic needs. But again, if you're looking for something that could game, you might wanna consider the Samsung Galaxy M12 instead. Although, syempre, for the price that you're paying for the M02, hindi na masama guys dahil malaki ang kanyang battery capacity for the price that you paid for it. Mas mabilis nyo rin fully charge ang Samsung Galaxy M12 dahil 15W fast charging naman siya unlike the M02. And ang difference nila in terms of the operating system, ang M02 guys ay naka-Android 10 pa din, while ang Samsung Galaxy M12, it already has the latest Android 11 as its operating system. So yeah, yun yung mga specifications and prices na dapat nyong malaman for their new Samsung Galaxy M series. Again, kung hahanapin nyo itong mga bagong phones sa mall, sa mga Samsung store, hindi nyo sila mabibili kasi again, exclusive lang sila online sa Lazada. As with all the M series. Appealing naman ang kanilang design parehas. Average ang performance lalong-lalo na sa Samsung Galaxy M02. I would say mas better buy kahit papano ang Samsung Galaxy M12. Medyo mas justifiable yung kanyang presyo at yung specs na meron siya. And again, ang lagi ko ang pinapaalala sa inyo, if you are looking for a smartphone na magagamit mo for your everyday social media use and online school, at least 4GB RAM ang kunin nyo para magkaroon kayo ng smooth multitasking experience kahit papano. Anyway, that's it lang guys. Yun yung mga information that you need to know. Again, it's your Tagal Mary and see you on my next video. Bye!